Guys, so the next program we're going to talk about is how to implement function overloading. Now, you must have heard about overloading by now. Function overloading is a feature where two or more functions can have the same name but different parameters. Now, the parameters differ in either the number of parameters or the type of parameters. And this is one way in which C++ implements polymorphism, right? Through function overloading. Alright, let's start off. As usual, there's the usual code, include iostream using namespace std. And the first thing that we're going to implement is using different data types, and then we'll quickly move on to different number of arguments. Alright, different data types first. Now let's add two numbers. Uh, the first set of two numbers are integers, and the second set of two numbers are uh, floating points. So we start off by saying int add int a and int b. That's as simple as that. And the second one we say float add float a and float b. Once you've done that, close it. Inside the main, you go and just type int a b and to store the value sum. Okay, so sum1 maybe. Sum1 is the sum of integers. Now for float, it is float uh, different set c d and sum2, right? Once we've done that, we can write cout enter two integers and endl maybe. Once you've done that, let me minimize this and give us some more space. Yeah, once you've done that, you have to take in two, that is c in a and immediately after b. So sum1 equals a add, right? Add of a and b. So we're invoking the add function here. Now the next thing is just printing the sum of the integers and saying sum1 endl. Once you're done with that, it's adding the next set of numbers. So we have to do the same routine again. You have to copy, paste, enter to floating points this time. So we're gonna take it in C and in D. We're gonna give the arguments as C and D, and I hope you guys by now know the difference between arguments and parameters. I said that this is sum2 and this is sum2, and the next one is about that's it, right? You just return. Did I delete something? None. Right. So now you're gonna implement the functions. The functions are int add, int a, and int b, and write the function definitions. So I'm gonna give some space there. So for the add, it's just simple. It's the same thing. You take a sum, you say it's equal to a plus b, and return sum. It's as simple as that. And just delete. Once you've done that, the second function with the same name, that is add. This time it is not an int but a floating point number. Float. Yep. And float. Right, so this code should in theory work, but let's see. We run this code and the input is right here. Okay, there's ambiguating new declaration of int add float line number 25. Is it? No, line number 38. Okay, this is not an int, this is a float, and then we're deferring it by, let's say, cnd, or let's just rename these things as w, x, y, and z, because why not? If you have any ambiguity, just rename the arguments. W, X. Here this is Y and Z. Once that is done, I think we should take care of that. What did I say? Oh my god. Okay. This time, hopefully. Okay. Enter to 12 and 3. Sum is 15. Cool. 12.98 and 3.022. That is 16.002. So that's about it. This program is running smoothly. Now we'll do a different type of program just for you to understand. Now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take something like this, or I'm gonna return after copying this. Okay, so right now we're going to discuss function overloading with different number of arguments. We had seen different type of arguments. Now let's move on to different number. So let's take two strings this time because numbers are cliche. Let's go to void display a string, one string. Okay, so the string is represented by an array of characters, right? So you can just go ahead and take an array of characters. Keep in mind that I haven't written a name here, char a or something, because this is just a function declaration. You don't need to explicitly write the parameter name. You can just write char, this time 2 characters. Alright, I hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm taking one character array, and here I'm taking 2 character arrays. That is strings. So once I'm done with that, I go into main. I say, see, instead of taking a user input, this time I'm gonna give a static input. This is first string is C programming, because that's what you did up to now. And the second one, the second programming language you learn is C++ programming. So once you've done that, I just click on display first, and here display both first and second. Once I'm done with that, I'm just gonna say return. I'm gonna take this C out for later, and I'm gonna show you how to write the display function definitions. And if you don't want, you can just skip to the output part and see for yourself. It's just basic thing that I'm writing. See out, not even that, just S and L. And the next one is simple as well. It's just this time you put a new line in between them. One is S1, one is char T, and you press S and L and then T, and it's a good practice to write and L. So once I've done that, I've done function overloading with a very simple program having just one line of code per functions having different number of parameters, so that's how they change from each other, but they have the same name. So here they say 28. Okay, so he's protesting that there's this. So once I'm done with that, it's gonna run. Pretty confident. Yep, he's saying C programming, and C++ program. So just to differentiate, you can write here something like 1. Okay, what is up? Alright. Okay, I'm sorry, that's 1, and let's take that as 2. Alright, and run it this time and see that, okay, 4, come on. Now this should work, and yeah, so the first time it's just C programming, and then the second time it's C programming and C++ programming. So that's your program.